like to now welcome Maram Al Refaei, streaming in from Egypt, to talk about her journey of self-discovery and authenticity through culture preservation. She is a freelance designer from Egypt whose work spans from branding to editorial design and more. She has been recognised by platforms such as It's Nice That and Design 360 magazine, and is a contributor to the Type Directors Club Advisory Board. I would now like to welcome Maram. Maram, can you hear us?
Yeah, hello.
Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for such great introduction, and I'm so pleased to be here with you all.
Thank you for joining us. I'll now leave you to do your presentation.
Of course. First off, everything's all right. I apologize, I'm a little bit outside, but I hope the background noise is not overpowering my voice.
No, we can hear you. At the moment, you haven't shared a screen as yet, have you?
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
Okay, just checking that everything's working. Perfect. Thank you.
Right, so, you go ahead?
Yes, go ahead, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so hello everyone, good evening. I'd like to declare my stand for a free Palestine to what's happening in Gaza right now. It's devastating and heartbreaking, and I just want to openly share how I feel about this and call for a free Palestine in every chance possible.
Sorry, Maram. Sorry to interrupt. Can you just get a little bit closer to the mic?
Cool. I'm having AirPods right now, so I feel the AirPods. Then I remove them.
Okay.
Can you hear me a little bit better?
Yes, much better, thank you.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So hello again. It's a pleasure to be with you, and I want to firstly thank Middlesex University of Connecticut for reaching out for email and all of the team efforts involved in this event. And to top off my intro, I'd like to continue my greetings in the way of Hamid Hamid. He's such a kind guy. I met in Alexandria, and he lives nearby my street. And there is more of this. It's just a warm up to what's coming next. So a little bit about me. Although I came a long way, I'm still walking, and it's amazing to share with you where I am right now and my journey so far. So some facts about me: I graduated from the German University in Cairo in 2019 from Applied Arts and Sciences as a graphic designer, but I rather like to entitle myself as a visual communication and graphic designer. I'm an independent designer, freelancer, and an art director at the moment at Day2 Studio. I also have been nominated last year as an advisory board member at the TDC Advisory Board. It's a renowned community, a platform of design, photography, and culture, and how all of these topics meet and come together. And other than that, I co-founded Archive Cairo, but I am not part of it anymore. It's however embedded in me, and it's like part of what I do and my research as well. So I'll still speak about the things I did. So how did my journey begin and how I discovered myself? It's all in my Bachelor project. I'm taking you back 6 years ago, and tell you what, I look at this project right now and I don't get it as it did back then. So I'm not going to bore you with the details. The only message I want to send here is that this is the phase where I was trying to release myself, know who I am, and discover my identity. I also would like to add a little background to this project that I was born and raised in Saudi Arabia, and I lived my entire life there, 17 years. And I only came to Egypt, Cairo, Egypt, my hometown, about 10 years ago to start my university studies. And living in Saudi Arabia has impacted me as a person, and whoever knows Saudi Arabia before the shift in culture and the shift in the community itself, it was a totally different place. So the Saudi Arabia I grew in is not the Saudi Arabia that is right now. And I was confined in many ways, and I found it hard to really know how to express myself and how to just be who I am. As much as this impacted me, it just still made me the person and designer who I am right now, so I'm grateful for that nonetheless. So getting back to the project, the keywords for this project was release, and I was trying to understand how others release themselves from pain. I found that war photos best portray emotions that fall under the release, like surrender and protest. I was practically observing self-expressions, and in my research, I collected photos from different times across different countries. I started to understand how much I love to observe and document the ways that others use to visually express themselves, because this gave me an understanding of of my own self. Since then, I loved archiving, collecting all sorts of information that highlight my own understanding of visual communication. These are just some snippets of and spreads of my Bachelor outcome. So the working techniques, I'd like to talk to you next about the working techniques that I used to implement when I was part of Archive Cairo, and the ones that I implement right now as an independent designer and art director. So I'm starting with the pre-master's project during my last year in university. It's the same process of how we used to work at the studio and how I work right now. This technique started in the pre-master project, where I worked with two of my colleagues and friends. The three of us worked together through this pre-master year, and for our first semester we were briefed to choose any street in Cairo and do a newspaper about it. And we chose Street 205 in a very well-known area called Maidi. Our process started by going down to the street, taking pictures of signages, objects, people, and anything that represent the street. And this strong act of taking pictures and documenting is the development of what I used to do in Archive Cairo and what I'm doing right now. The semester outcome should consist of a cover and spread, and these are the first trial of our covers. We worked with the information we gathered about the street and some images, but the problem that we faced here is that there wasn't a solid story that can hold everything together and make this visually stronger. And that's when we went down the street again, and we had a guy who was attempting to sell his car to us and trying to convince us that he hand drew all of these stickers in the car. We had a very funny moment and incident with him, and we thought it's worth documenting and choosing as a theme for the newspaper. But what we did is that we looked closely, took advantage of the icons and illustrations and the elements on the car and extracted them to use, so we can use them on the newspaper and as for design. We did that here, and this is the phase of duplication, where we kept working and duplicating with every step. And this helps in going back and forth between steps and choosing the best. And I believe this process of duplication is very important because it helps the designer to improve and also compare and how to choose which trial is best amongst all variations. So as a final outcome, and the icons that represent the street. This is the final outcome, the newspaper. This is the spread illustrating the story of the car. This is my second semester project. The outcome is a small book called Cairo-born and aims to help the tourists navigate through Cairo and give them guidance on touristic places, what they can find there, for food and activities. So for example, on the spread on the top left, it explains what tourists might go through from their visa until they arrive in Egypt. And for example, the spread in the middle with no alcohol, it shows how tourists realize that there's no alcohol kiosk or generally in grab-to-go alcohol. So as I mentioned, I was part of art repair, but not anymore. But I still would like to explain to you a little bit about it, as I still do that by myself, and I co-founded it, and I have a big part in starting this initiation of architecture. So briefly, it's a multi lab. What it does is research, preservation, communication through the languages of Arabic, English, through education, learning, understanding, teaching, communication. The topics are identity, awareness, culture.
Structure and all of these are not just objects, they're identities and forms of expression. And this is where the perspective on how I see the street changed, that the things around me is actually forms of expression. There's just not mundane objects, they have much more meaning than that. These are some of the food packages that we also archived or collected throughout the years, and they consisted of food packaging or simply just plastic bags or people with packaging. One of the projects that I worked on as a studio and with a friend was the rebranding of Maya 100 Best Arabic Poster. And who's ever not familiar with this is a 100 Best Arabic Poster competition. It chooses 100 Best Arabic posters around the Sawano region, but not only limited to that. And I had the pleasure to recreate its third round, and I did that with my friend Hannah. And we decided to choose a direction that has a Korean taste for this rebrand, since the competition is Cairo-based. The Egyptian comic is very strong and has proved itself over the years, and this is where we decided to start. We started with book fairs, where we collected all kinds of publications that explore different illustrations and comic styles. We also went down the street again for inspiration and to connect the street with the comics. And no matter how we go to the same places every time, we still manage to find something new, because it all depends on what we're looking for. So when the goal is different, we still see 100 different things in the same place that we went to for over like 10 times. So these are the first round of designs that we had, but we didn't really quite reach the comic yet that we wanted to achieve. In this phase, we started to get close and experiment. How can we integrate the comic characters into the Maya logo? The characters were there, but the stories were missing. We had the same kind of hindrance that we faced in our pre-masters. And this is where everything came together. And it did once again, once we gave those characters' stories. And we chose 1001 Nights stories, but with a twist, where we imagine how will these characters behave and look like if they were in the Cairo street. And this created very funny scenarios of each character. These are some color variations. These are the final outcomes for the poster, and each poster features a specific story from the 1001 Nights. This is a laydown of the or lineup of the visual system and how we applied it on social media posts while we were trying to announce the competition throughout, announcing the judges, the countdown, the rules. We also worked on some animations. And the next very exciting project, and the one that I really love, but we stopped it right before COVID hit, and it was the collaboration with the French Institute in Cairo, where we had the mission to revive its renowned letterpress. And we did that with guidance from our printing expert, Regina. She's a printing professional, and she helped us very much to go through this process. She saw that cabinet on the left that you see, and she called it a treasure for what's inside. And what we found was hieroglyphic leads. And this is like very rare to this letterpress room was one of the rarest rooms that had actually hieroglyphic leads. So it was a very exciting find, and our process involved then dissecting and identifying everything, so we can actually be able to get those machine and the letterpress overall to work again. And unfortunately, there were very few records of what's in the room, but we did try nonetheless to work with what we have in hand. And this video right here was the moment that we got the letterpress, the monotype machine to work. Once we posted such work online on our profile, it got recognized by It's Nice That, and we had the opportunity to talk about it in a Nicer Tuesdays event. And we walked them through a process and everything we've done during this time. And this process as well was featured in an article online and on their platform. One of the workshops that I held also in collaboration with my studio partners was Kiss My Plastic Goodbye, or Kiss My Plastic Goodbye, but Kiss is plastic bag in Arabic. And the aim for this workshop was for participants to create their own plastic bag, but without the plastic, and use the design process that we use as Archive Cairo to achieve their own designs for plastic bag with a hypothetical store idea. So we gave them this library that we have divided into categories, starting from publications and books to familiar faces, packages, stickers on cars, plastic bags, signages, wall prints, and just things in the streets, typography, and people. And the mission for the students or the participants was to rummage through this library, choose what they inspire them, and try to come up with their own idea and their own combination of images and designs that can help them create their design bag. These were the outcomes, and we were very surprised and also pleased to see the outcomes because it was an affirmation that our process is actually something that is quite flexible enough for others to use and understandable enough that it can suit different pursuits and and somehow create individual, individual. Yeah, so continuing with my freelance projects, one of my first freelance projects back in 2019, where I worked with a German Spanish-based DJ band called KID SIMIUS. I created 2 posts for them for their different group tours around the year. Also got to their artwork for the single. These are sets of poster based on an initiative created by Shireen Salah, where she, this was outcomes for her workshop. And her initiative was about how can we create contemporary, or how Islamic manuscripts can influence or inspire contemporary design. So we used the manuscripts as inspiration to create designs. And what I did here, I found a riddle in a very old comic book, and this riddle, speaks about 4 suspects who stole a chicken, and I wanted to recreate those characters with a manuscript style and a system, and also use the patterns of the manuscript. Going on still with the manuscript workshop, I got inspired from the framework of the manuscripts here and create postcards. These are called ataba postcards, and ataba is an area, local area in Cairo, and it's basically a street full of local vendors that sell original but not original products. So you can see unoriginal Adidas there, unoriginal Nike, stuff like that. So this postcard was just a very brief representation of what you can expect out of that place. Also unoriginal Mickey somehow. And then I also had the opportunity to be part of an initiative created by Heart Directors Club based in Berlin, where it shows 12 international female designers to create posters or empowering women posters for the gender minority, based on, so choose a song, an empowering song, and create an original artwork out of it. And I chose a song called على ورق الفل, and these are my outcomes for it. And also I integrated the music that the coming work is some collaboration work I also did with a famous Egyptian rapper called Marwan Moussa, and I created some typography, custom typography for his single. And this was also a project. Coming next is just a very collective lineup of posters that I worked in with unspecific topics, but just a very big overview of some poster work that I have. This one is a website prototype that I worked on with a friend. It's called Generating Ecological Expressive Language, or GIL. And what was interesting about this website is that I did a logo system that is adaptive and different, creating different variations. So these are just some shots from the website, and these are the logo system that I created, where from which different, out of the 4-letter word, different combinations can come out, creating different logo sets. I also had the opportunity to be part or to be an art director for a reviving project for Naguib Mahfouz. He's a very renowned Egyptian and Nobel Prize winner. The aim for this project was to bring back his books and create just a general brand where there is information about him and yeah, just to widen up what he actually did in terms of writing works. So these are some logos that we worked on in different forms. This is the general visual identity and system. The coming project here is the Emerging Local Talents, and it's a project initiated by Film My Design. And Film My Design created this competition where it was calling for artists, designers, and filmmakers to create their own sets of films under the topic of Mission Green. And we had the opportunity to create the identity for this competition. So we used local music and represented together. I also had another project with Film My Design where I created the identity for the Cairo Design Week. And they had a lineup of 7 films screening. And for this identity, I did some poster designs and also designs to feature the 7 films that they're screening. And the inspiration behind this project was the emotional resonance or the emotional graph from the entire 7-day of the screening, because when I observed the films themselves, they took the audience in different phases of emotions, ups and downs, and I tried to represent this through typography and also graphical work to give mood for every movie. So these are just the different design or the how I represented the design in different formats. And then very luckily I had this work featured on It's Nice That, and I'd like to say a very brief backstory to this project was that I was actually going to refuse this project because the time frame was very limited and very tight, and I was going to be I was underpaid generally for it, so I was doubtful to take it in, but I actually took this as an opportunity to create something great nonetheless, or try to make something out of something challenging. It was challenging for me to accept this project, but luckily out of it, I got an unexpected feature, and this somehow made me realize to really try to take all opportunities as much as possible, or that we should actually accept opportunities or whatever comes by us. But this doesn't mean that we accept whatever opportunity, because it kind of depends on what one can do and what we can accept on ourselves. But there's always opportunity to do something great nonetheless. now just coming like some lineups for other projects I did. This is a branding project for a foundation, a foundation in Palestine that funds and supports medical students in Palestine. And I had so much pleasure working with those people. They were very understanding, and I tried to create something very individual to them as much as I can. So these are some layouts for their publications. And then I also collaborated with Pangaya, where they created Sport, and it's a brand, or it's actually a platform where designers can come in and create their own designs and promote them online. And I just created 2 designs with them. And the inspiration behind those designs, for example, this one, it was the Friday prayers in Cairo, where a Friday morning in the street is all about there's cats in the street, there is some put on verses playing in the background, and sunshine, and the environment. So this was somehow the portrayal of this Friday morning and then Friday night. So it was this theme of what a Friday looks like in Cairo. This is a musical poster for Minute Red. What I like very much is that I did it like handwritten, and I saw so much importance in having some human element into the work. Okay, and then I also collaborated with a design studio based in Portland, House of Gül, where I just created 2 type letters for their Ramadan website. It was the Dhuhr prayer and the Asr prayer, and it was custom made. And then I also collaborated with the Berlin-based studio Yukiko in their house, the Kultur in the Welt logo for the literature prize. And I created a custom-made type logo for a dear friend of mine. He's a photographer and a filmmaker, so I did it for his personal movie, Boyhood. He's a really great photographer, and he has amazing work. I hope you can check him out. He's called Muhammad Sharif. Just and as I mentioned last year, I very gratefully became, I was nominated as a TDC Advisory Board member. Unfortunately, I'm not part of TDC anymore. Most of the advisory board members that came in with me last year got into internal conflicts, and it ended up by us leaving the TDC. But I was so happy to be part of this community because it really helped me be exposed to great mindsets and opportunities. And I also got the chance to participate in competitions, and I won the certificate of typographic excellence on some of my work. This was the TDC 69. And also won in the Ascenders Award. This is a feature designed by women. It was around 2 years ago. And I also got featured on Chinese-based magazine, 360 Design Magazine. That's all. Thank you so much. And I really hope that my presentation is a source of inspiration, because this is what I aim to do. as a designer, I strive to look for inspiration, and I strive to give it out. So I hope I inspired you somehow. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Maram. We have a lot of people who have thoroughly enjoyed watching your presentation, and your work is so visually appealing. It's just lovely.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm getting, audience wants to have a question. So we have some questions.
Of course.
Just 1 second.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, sorry, they're just coming up to grab the microphone.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Okay, I have a question about your typography. I have a question about your typography. So
Yeah.
do you like start with a font and then build on it, or do you completely start from scratch and like mix different typefaces together? And for the Arabic ones, do you like hand letter most of them? Yeah, okay. Oh, and sorry. For the one in Berlin, I think the one with the Ramadan and stuff, did you develop the whole font? Or is it just for like each specific word? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Did you follow that?
Yeah. I just hope I fully understood the question. But okay, so when it comes to anything that I do by hand or I custom made, I do it from scratch. So yeah, it's just out of me. I don't trace into anything, or usually my inspirations would actually be my collective archive, or for example the images I showed you, the things that I see on the street, they're all like in my head, and I've been exposed to many of this that I started to create my own. So this is like my source of inspiration to it. And I think you were asking about the one in Ramadan, right?
That's right. Yes.
Okay. I created only two type. So I only did two type examples: the Dhuhr and Asr. The other stuff is their work. I only added my two custom-made, handmade Arabic typography.
Thank you. Yes, that answered the question. Yes. We have another student coming down the front. Just 1 second.
Yeah,
they're obviously very inspired.
Hi, I wanted to ask, so you lived in Saudi Arabia before going to Egypt, and I wanted to ask, do you think that going to Egypt and studying in Egypt helped you like be more attached to Egyptian graphic design than just like, and just Egyptian art in general than just being outside? And would you recommend, like, if someone wants to, like, okay, a little background, I'm also Egyptian, so like if I want to like be more intertwined with Egyptian graphic design, would you recommend that, you know, I stay in Egypt for a little and I experience Egypt by itself? Or, you know, do you understand my question?
Yes, I think she understands the question.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for asking such a question. Okay, I would say that, you know, I feel that my study as a graphic designer has helped me more than where I am. So my perspective has changed once I actually became a graphic designer. The people that I have studied with and my university, my instructors, they all impacted how I see things around me. So they gave me a new perspective into things. And I feel without the exposure of these people around me, I would have not been the person I am right now. So I feel that being a designer is actually the reason for me to see my hometown the way I see it, not exactly that I am in Egypt. You know what I mean? So I feel that if I went to Saudi Arabia again with the person I am right now, I'm gonna see it totally different. And I'm actually striving to go to Saudi Arabia with the person I am right now, because I know I'm gonna see those places that I used to be in a totally different manner. Because right now I see everything different. So of course I do encourage you to be exposed to where you belong more, because it's part of you and it does bring out of you things that you didn't expect. And I feel this is also one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I have lost a lot of my own identity being far apart in Saudi Arabia. So definitely getting back to roots is a source of importance, and getting back to community as well and people has a great impact.
Thank you. Excellent. Anyone else from the audience? No? Okay. We have a couple of other questions. Your design, one from Anastasia, your design is very authentic and culturally informed. How have you developed this style instead of following international design trends? And we'll answer that one first.
Okay. Okay. How can I say that? I feel I honestly first off, I feel that it's not easy to be authentic and to be yourself, since there's like, you know, a lot of we're surrounded by a lot of things that suppress us otherwise. And one of the, so I remember my first exposure into Instagram was actually by luck. So I was just trying my luck into just posting things without thinking so much and seeing how the reaction would be. And I think just being out there and seeing the flow and seeing my flow has helped me a lot to build and start and keep going to grow myself into what I really want to be. And I feel also being surrounded most of the time into a community that is actually authentic in and of itself is something that helps me be authentic. And this is what I also love so much. Like please. You wanted to say something?
No, I'm just listening.
Okay. So I think looking for, so I feel I have mentioned this in my presentations, that I always want to see how others express themselves, because it helps me stay in line with how I want to also express myself. This is like the source of inspiration the whole time.
I have a follow-up question to that. So, I mean, your designs are obviously inspired by your environment and culture. So how much time do you actually spend just out and about in the environment, wandering around and making observations?
Well, I think there are two answers for this question. Most of the things I do obligate me to be in my surroundings that I find myself documenting while doing other while doing errands throughout my day. So sometimes it's not actually intentional, and I find myself have the opportunity to capture something in the moment. So it's either it's in the moment, I do have a chance, or I actually take a whole day just dedicated to documenting, going down the streets, going to flea markets, and there are street vendors in specific that I head to that does have a lot of archives that I buy it from. So it's either that that I'm in the moment and somewhere that I capture different shots, or I dedicate like an entire day just for this.
I think that's a good point and a good lesson, is that you should always be prepared to make observations and record things, because as you said, if you're just doing your regular errands, you might see something. So be prepared to record that while you're out.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, always observing. Now, the second part of that question was whether you were, what was it, Demo? You did, yeah, how much of your education has influenced you, or are you inspired by other aspects?
Okay. I would say now, yeah, I feel that what I studied in my university is somehow really different from the real life. So I feel what I experienced outside in the work life and on social media and the freelance world, it's totally different from studying. I found a gap somehow, and I only felt that I can that I can really use the things I studied from university. Was just my bachelor project and my pre-masters was the most beneficial years for me, because these were the most experimental, and they helped explore. It helps exploring so much. So this exploration was the most beneficial, because it helped us actually go down the streets, do research, talk to people. It had just more freedom. In my other years, I feel I was just like mostly cramped with other subjects, that I found it very hard to just focus on being on doing something. And as the years went by, I feel I feel that my skill has somehow got better, and I got like the gist of things. So yeah, I was able to achieve what I wanted to achieve at the end.
Excellent, thank you. We've got two typographic questions.
Yes.
One is, how do you explain your love of typography? So obviously typography is a very distinctive part of your work. So one is, how do you explain your love of typography? So I'll answer that one first.
All right, thank you. I can say I have seen so much, or the things that I have seen in everything I collect, from photos to books to publication, has inspired something in me, or has moved something in me that I just discovered very unawarely, that I can do some type by myself. I'm not sure how to really explain that, but I was just trying. I was trying to apply what I see, apply what I feel, because I loved what I'm seeing. So I just wanted to do the same, and I found myself flowing. So it's always about the things that I loved transferred into me, and then I can do something out of it. That's all.
Okay, great. And the other one is, how do you pick your color palettes for your typography experiments? Is it directly from your environment, or are you taking other inspirations for that? Because in some of your works, it's quite colorful, but you usually use quite a limited palette.
All right. I really don't have rules so much when it comes to colors. I feel it always depends upon the project I'm working on, and what is needed, and what looks good, what's applicable. I feel color in specific, it's a matter of trial and edit. So I keep trying. I always try different colors, actually. And it's always the hardest of processes because to like filter from the different variations. So I always have variations of also actually not colors, but when it comes to design in general, when it comes to a poster design, I always have trials, and I pick from those trials what looks best and what works visually. And I feel the decision comes with time and with just time and practice. You know, with time you can actually be able to filter better, to select easier. So I feel just the practice made it easier to select and pick palettes and also designs.
Yeah, so you're not strictly you're not restricted by the colors of Cairo necessarily.
No, not at all. Yeah.
No. Okay, good. Another question is, what did you study for your master's?
Oh, I actually didn't do masters. We have this semester in the German university in Cairo called pre-masters. It's just an additional year. It's not exactly masters. So I didn't practically do my master's yet. I really hope to. But however, in the pre-master's project, we worked on creating a visual information and this book, the tourist book. So we created publication. So we basically focus on editorial design and in the pre-master's year.
Thank you, Maram. That was a brilliant presentation, and your work has so many interesting street textures, and it's so interesting to look at. I had a question for you. So in education, you learn some pre-established graphic design rules, and I see that you play around them quite a bit. So how do you navigate that when you're representing Cairo and the culture, or even in your personal work?
Okay. I would like to ask a question to your questions just to make sure that I understood. So you're saying how do I stick to guidelines, but at the same time represent what I want to represent, right?
Yeah, I mean, use the guidelines or sometimes break them, but when do you decide what to do?
Yeah. Okay, I actually always believe in having grid and having structure as a foundation, and I think it sometimes depends on also the project and the aim of the project. So if it's a visual and brand identity project, there is an entire visual system that definitely needs a system and a grid to ensure consistency and coherence throughout. When it's actually more experimental and have some freedom to it, this is where the play can come. But this also doesn't mean that anything in the branding doesn't have play and flexibility, but it's actually somehow hard to achieve flexibility in a grid. But this is like how a visual identity is great, when there is flexibility, but there is also structure within it. You can create so many layouts from the same grid. So I feel it kind of depends on what I want to achieve and what I want to what I want to express. And if it's purely just for myself and for like my personal use, I usually disregard some of the guidelines.
Thank you. I think one last question. What is the favorite part of your job?
That's a very nice question. I don't think I have thought of this myself. The best part, I would say, is the research. I love research so much. Research and also communication. So communicating with clients or communicating with team, having this share of thoughts. I enjoy this so much because it helps in the growth process. And I enjoy, and yeah, as I said, I really, really enjoy the research because I find very surprising things, and I keep storing information and I keep collecting things that is always a library for me to get back to whenever I need.
Yeah, again, it's a good message to, you know, make your own. You mentioned it earlier, having your own personal library of things. So I think that's also a good hint for everybody. Maram, thank you very, very much. It looks a little cold there, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, right now it's a little bit windy, but it's sunny right here. But in general, yeah, it's quite cold. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for putting up with that bit of wind and the cold.
Thank you.
Thoroughly enjoyed your presentation, and please let us know if you ever drop by Dubai.
Of course, no, thank you for your time, your effort, and thank for everyone who asked. Please feel free to reach out afterward. I'm really happy to answer anything, and I'm so pleased to meet you all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.